Alright, hey everybody, welcome to our video on Gencon 2016. Today we're going to talk about the Gencon conference that we're going to. This is our second year of going, so we went last year. Last year was our first year, and we were really newbies and we didn't know what we were doing. In fact, I didn't even sign up for anything. I just kind of wandered aimlessly around Gencon, but I really enjoyed myself, and so this year we're going to just kind of go over some of the things that we're excited about on Gencon and talk about a little bit at the beginning about what we did last year and what we liked last year and what we didn't like last year. So just to start, last year I really got into the hall where they sell stuff, and I spent a lot of time in there. I bought a lot of stuff, and this year I'm not going to be doing as much as that. There are some games that I'm interested in, but I don't plan to spend as much money on games this year. I'm actually planning on spending more time playing games this year at Gen Con. So that's a big change for me this year. What about you, John?
So I wasn't really that into the dealer hall, certainly not as much as you. I'm kind of too cheap to be dropping the kind of money that you're dropping if you go crazy at Gen Con.
Yeah, I think you bought one game.
I think one game, yeah, one game. And I totally agree with you. Last year I just kind of did things randomly. I just wandered around to sort of take in what was happening, and that was a great first experience. I did True Dungeon last year, which was interesting and kind of worth doing, but I'm not going to do that again. Probably the big thing that I enjoyed that I'm probably going to do more of is playtesting pre-production games. Yeah. And so we actually did that together.
Yes, we did.
And we went and did a session where somebody who was trying to launch a game, and we played their current version of it and gave feedback, and that was really fun. I'd like to do that again.
That's one of the things that I really enjoyed last year, was doing that. And we just kind of wandered in there. Yeah. We didn't even have tickets, and they just kind of felt sorry for us and let us join after everybody else had a spot. They let us sit where there was an empty spot and play a game, and so that was kind of cool. Yeah. Gen Con's really cool because if you've never been there and you're thinking about going, go, because the people are really nice, and even though you don't have any idea what you're doing, people will direct you in the right direction, and people are really nice and they'll invite you to do stuff. In fact, one of the nights, I think John had already gone back to the hotel, but me and some friends of John, we just went out to the big hall and saw people playing games, and they invited us in, and we actually played games until like about midnight with people I didn't even know, just random people, so that was kind of cool.
I told my wife that that's going to be your biggest disappointment this year, because she's not coming. We're just going ourselves. There's no wives or anything there this year. And I told her, Tom's going to expect me to go crazy Gen Con style and be gaming till 3 a.m. And I said he's going to be disappointed when I head back to the hotel room to go to sleep. I'm not going to be up for the late night games.
Yeah, but I will. So John can go back and do whatever he wants. It's his experience, but I will be very tired when this conference is over, because I'm a late night gamer, and even my game group, we usually play till 1 in the morning when we play, so I'm very used to that, and I like to play. I like to shop in the day and play in the evening. So
I go to bed at home at like 9:30, so I'm not going to be up that much later at Gen Con. 10:30 or 11, I'm going to be in bed. Yeah, so,
I just get about moving about the time John goes to bed. I start grading stuff, and it's not unusual for me to be up till 2 in the morning. So we have a little bit different schedule, which is good, because Gen Con sucks when it comes to hotel rooms, and we have one bed. So so John will sleep until midnight, and I'll sleep from midnight on. But anyway, so let's just kind of cover some of the stuff that we did do last year and some of the things we liked and we didn't like. We already talked about the play testing. I think we both really enjoyed that. Yep. I bought a bunch of games. I was very excited about several games, and like I said, had no idea what to expect. Didn't realize how insane the dealer room is when you're trying to get something. I was really excited. I think my #1 game for last year was Blood Rage. I did not Kickstart it. I'm a big Kickstarter, but I didn't Kickstart Blood Rage. And I was really excited about that. I wanted to get that at Gen Con. Well, I did not get that at Gen Con. I'm old and I don't run very well, so when I saw the line and I knew how many copies they had, I just kind of gave up. I did, however, once I came back from Gen Con, Cool Mini or not, they are a really cool company, and they actually offered a Kickstarter jump in after the fact. So the game was already done and pretty much produced, and they let people jump in and kickstart it even after the fact. So I did that. I got the game with all the Kickstarter expansions, so it worked out better for me in the long run, and I actually got the game, and I love the game, and actually that game has supplanted my #1 game of all time, and is now my #1 game of all time. It kicked out Lifeboats, which used to be my #1 game of all time, so now, so I'm glad I got it, but I did not get it at Gen Con. I learned a valuable lesson about, wanting to get things at Gen Con that are new and exciting. Unless you're a dealer or something and you get in early or something, you're probably not going to get it if it's very limited supply. So
well, we've grumbled about exactly that. That there's one company that they're bringing 24 copies of a new game to Gen Con, which is just ridiculous. It's how fast could you sell out? That'll be gone in seconds if they're able to manage the sales there. And the things at Gen Con, they sell it for full retail. A lot of games do debut at Gen Con, so it's your first chance to buy it, but just you wait a week or two and you can order it online and you can get a really good discount and you can get the games that were there. And so I think it's just a fool's errand to be in these mad, huge crowds fighting over a tiny, tiny number of new releases. Just take it in, maybe see a demo of it, but I don't think it's the end of the world if you don't buy it at Gen Con.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the game, though. I mean, there was a couple games that came out at Gen Con last year that you couldn't get for 6 months after Gen Con. Codenames was one. I like Codenames okay, but I'm not a huge fan. I'm not a fanboy. Like a lot of people love that game. I'm so on it. I did not get it at Gen Con, and then after Gen Con, a bunch of my friends wanted to play it, and it took me 6 months to get it. So, so some games are harder to get after Gen Con, but it's not worth killing yourself over it. I mean, if you get it at Gen Con, if you can get it, and if you want, and if you don't mind paying full retail, and there's some games that I actually am looking forward to this year, and if I can get them, I'll get them. I'll pay full retail for them. If I cannot, then I'm just going to let them slide and then just wait for them. And we'll talk about that when we get into our stuff that we're looking forward to.
Two of our friends, kind of along those lines, they kind of went, and their real priority, this is Jason and Mike, their real priority was to go and get like out-of-print games, and they were really into kind of vintage games and hard-to-find games. And the two of them had a really good selection at really good prices, and their hotel room looked like a warehouse.
Yeah.
By the end, they had to like arrange shipping home because they had more than they could fit onto luggage that they could get onto the plane. And there was this hilarious picture that they had that it was just their hotel room full of stacked games. And so that's another option. If somebody wants to get games there, rather than going to the dealer room and the recently released ones, there's also people there selling more vintage historical games that are out of print and sometimes really good prices.
Yeah, one of the really fun things to do there, even if you don't buy anything, is to go to the auction house.
Yeah.
They have a huge auction house. They have tons of games in there, and you can go and you can get the number on the game, and then when the come back, they're numbered, so you can say, okay, this is number 700. So if they're on number 500, it's going to be a while before 700 comes up. But you can go in there when that game comes up, and then they'll auction it off. And if you're the only one who wants it, you can get it for $1. I mean, and really so you can get all kinds of used games. I personally am more of a fickle gamer, so I'm always into the newest, the newest trend, and games kind of. They have a very short shelf life with me because I like to play them, and then I get bored with them and I want to move on to the newest thing. So but if you're into the vintage thing and you're really wanting the old games, or you have something that you played when you were younger and you want to get that nostalgia, that is a great place to go. Or if you just want to watch people haggle over games, just go in there and sit. And actually it's a good place to sit.
Yeah, it's a great place to sit, and it is entertaining. Yeah. Watching the auction and watching bidding wars over like
it's cool. And so and like if you get tired of walking around, just want a nice place to sit, you can go sit in the auction house. Yeah.
And another thing along the same lines, neither of us have done this, but they have these math trades where you register games that you have that you want to give away and games that you want to get, and they have these huge chains where this person will give a game to somebody else, that person will give a game to somebody else, that person will give a game to somebody else, and then that person will give a different game back to the original person. And we haven't done that, but tons of people do that. Yep. And if you have a bunch of games in your collection that you're never going to play again, you want to get rid of, that's a way to sort of swap them out at Gen Con for stuff that you might like better. Yeah,
definitely. And that's definitely a good way to do it, because that way you're not spending money. You're just kind of trading stuff that you don't want to play anymore for stuff that you do. I have trouble getting rid of anything.
I was gonna say you'd never want to give up any games, so it'd never work for
every
you.
game that I've ever had, to the chagrin of my wife. And someday that's going to have to change, because one of these days we're going to move to a smaller place, and I'm going to have to call some games. But for now, I've managed to keep them all. So
I've thought about doing that this year. That's one thing I'm considering doing. There's a few games that kind of our group doesn't seem to be playing very much. Even Star Wars Rebellion, I really liked it, but I've played it with everybody locally who'll play it with me, and people don't seem very interested in playing it again. And so I kind of thought I might be able to get a good trade for that at Gen Con.
So your wife's not really into a nightly game?
No, that'd be a tough sell.
Getting my wife to play any game is a tough sell. But
years ago, I misunderstood something you'd said, and I thought your wife played a board game with you every day. And it was funny because I thought she was a saint, and I made reference to that to you, and your response was, "Oh, geez, I wish."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Our passions do not collide in the board gaming area. So.
Yeah.